looking at this season's content, not the state of Destiny, just the season's content. We're talking about deep dives, salvage, weekly story. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I think I would keep it right there, just because for me, the first couple weeks of the season really just like the going to Sloan and hearing like 3 lines of dialogue, just to be like, what? And then the next week be like, what? Like it was really hard for, just think about the average player to really get anything out of that. Like if you're deep into it, like you're hardcore, maybe you could have deciphered some of that. But like going week after week and hearing that dialogue was kind of just like, okay, cool. So like it wasn't really until these last 2 weeks where you really got anything significant, which I mean that comes along with the buildup. But again, those first couple weeks could have gave a little bit more to kind of like push you into the next week, or push you into the activities. Like that's where I think Destiny's really lacking. The activities themselves, the deep dives and salvage, if you're obviously bored of Destiny, you haven't played them too much, but if you look at those activities themselves compared to like activities that we've had before, they're actually pretty good. Like the roguelike, nature of, I always confuse them, but I think it's the deep dives where you select like new abilities and you try to go further and you get more loot. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a style they can build on top of. But it's the typical Destiny problem. If there's something that you like what's that activity that people always say is the best activity and Destiny should have kept it and built on top of it? There was the one with the Callus season. But anyway, I disagree, because I've always felt like you're gonna keep that in the game. You're gonna build on top of it. People are gonna get tired of doing the same thing, as we do with anything. But I think deep dives is a good activity. And I think it's a good example of how they can, switch up the formula with seasonal activities and make them, different, unique. Menagerie, that's what it was. Yeah. You love deep dives, people dislike salvage, and you think it's very fun. Yeah, I think the seasonal activities are fun. Like, I think these are some of the best seasonal activities that we've gotten. But you don't get to say that this season, because if you say that, you're a Bungie shill. You can't say that. You must say that you don't like it. But no, like on a serious note, like, like in all honesty, like when I take a look at just the seasonal content, those are my critiques of the story. I do feel like, it was a really, really short story stretched out over those first 2-3 weeks. And I really feel like the last 2 weeks were the substantial portions. The seasonal activities were really good. I actually think they're pretty fun. The weapons are good. We have 2 sets of weapons. It's 8 weapons that we got this season. So in terms of the seasonal stuff, I think it was fine. Everything else, in terms of being fatigued and all that other kind of stuff, I think all of that is just a sign of where we are right now. People are just fatigued, but also the fact that, like I mentioned, go back and read it also. Read the Lightfall in a Year Ahead blog post. And he mentioned that. He mentioned this year they're not focusing on like their strategy from before, where it's like throw a bunch of stuff into the game. This year they're trying to focus on quality of life stuff, bolstering the foundation of the game and what's there, for the years to come. Because I mean, if you read the TWID, if you read the TWID, you understand from the engineering and the technical team that they're not building this game to last until next year. They're building this game to be able to expand and grow and withhold vast amount of systems going forward for the future. And don't forget, Bungie announced that content is not getting vaulted anymore. Seasonal content is getting vaulted, not DLC content. Okay, so remember that seasonal content is getting vaulted, not DLC content anymore. Any content Shadow keeping after is not getting vaulted. He said, "Oh, you can't enjoy Destiny nowadays, or else you're a bootlicker." Kiss ass, etc. Your favorite this season are salvages. Love them. There's been times we've been bored, burnt out, etc. But you think that's with any game? Yeah, and that's the point that I'm trying to get to, is essentially like any game, right? that you put this much time into. We've been playing Destiny, if you've been playing Destiny this long, but most people have been playing Destiny who are hardcore for like 5+ years. If you're really hardcore, like some of us, you've been there the whole time. You know what I mean? So to be tired at this point, I mean, it makes sense. You know what I mean? It makes sense. And it's pretty impressive if you look at it that they've held your attention this long, because most things that, try to hold you this long, I mean, shit, I'll check out. Assassin's Creed, I was the biggest fan of Assassin's Creed. After oh my God, after Desmond died, spoilers, after Desmond died, I checked out. I didn't really care anymore about the franchise. Yeah, it's about 9 years. I think it's 9. Is it 9 years? Came out 2014. Yeah, it'll be 9 years in September. But yeah, like anything that you do for this long, you're gonna get fatigued. You're gonna get burnt out. So, and that's why, if you look at the trends of the game, it goes up, it goes down. You got all these people trying to capitalize on the down times. Oh, it's dead and it's dead, and you see all these streamers and content creators saying like, "Hey, I'm going to Variety. I'm leaving. I'm this, that, and a third." And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think Bungie's looking at that going, "Oh my God, we lost such and such. Like, what are we gonna do?" No, no, that stuff doesn't sway them in the slightest, because people's perception of how much influence certain people have is skewed by their loyalties. You don't realize it, but you think because you're in the chat and you see this many people, oh, there's a lot of people. It's a very small number compared to the entire player base. So it's like, Bungie's going to continue to focus on whatever they need to do. Players are going to do what players are going to do. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. You'll be sour on a season. You'll be sour for a period of time. But then, motherfucker, let the final shape trailer drop and Cade 6 pop on the screen. And everybody's losing their minds and shit. Like, oh! You know what I mean? So, listen. Everybody's emotional. People are taking breaks. Totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Take your breaks. You know what I mean? Come back whenever you want to come back. It ain't going nowhere. I'll be here. I'll still be playing Destiny. I'm playing Diablo, other games and whatnot. So, it is what it is. Take your breaks if that's what you need to do.